All right, everyone, welcome in to another episode of Purple Daily with Mackey and Judd. We're going to dive into the three biggest questions about the Vikings coming out of the draft. But thanks to Federated Insurance for powering this episode of Purple Daily. Federated is here for local business owners in the Twin Cities. If you are a business owner and you need different materials to help with recommended response plans during the pandemic or HR related topics, anything and everything you can imagine as a business owner regarding this pandemic, those resources are available to you at federatedinsurance.com, or you can also call your local Federated marketing representative number on the website, federatedinsurance.com, to get those trusted resources. At Federated, it's our business to protect yours. I'm Phil Mackey. That's Judd Zulgad. We've got Declan Goff in the house here. And Judd, let's dive into your three biggest questions you have about the Vikings after they drafted 15 players a week ago.
Was that enough?
In the NFL draft?
I mean, it could have been more, right?
Well,
I mean, come on, Rick, you failed.
15's a record.
It's got to be 20.
And I have
Go for 20
before we get into the three questions, I have contested. I think this is Rick Spielman's drop the mic moment. I wouldn't be shocked if Rick Spielman retired right now. He's a guy that loves to have 10 draft picks.
Yes, he does.
And sometimes he'll move the needle to like 11, maybe 12.
Yep.
I think this is Rick, and Rick Spielman loves the draft more than anything, right? You covered him for a long time.
Yep.
The draft has always been his baby. And I have said 15 draft picks, an NFL record, is his Mona Lisa. There's nothing else. Like a Super Bowl would be great. I think this is Rick Spielman's Super Bowl.
It could have been
Set
17.
in the NFL record.
It could have been, because he traded two on day 3.
Dude,
it could have been 17.
He pulled his starters out of the game in the fourth quarter. What he
Absolutely.
did.
Why did you take all 17? But the one trade that I'm confused by is the Bears trade. The Bears actually, so he gave the Bears like what, a 5th round pick and got a 4th round in 2021 back. Like, if you're the Bears, you're really going to do that? I wouldn't give you a higher pick.
I wouldn't either, no.
Like that immediate gratification, which I completely get. I mean, we all enjoy that.
I mean, Rick Spielman's like, it's a good thing we had access to him on that Zoom, because if I didn't know that he was like, he looked like he was upright and fine for 3 days, I would have envisioned him at the end if I didn't have access to his living room or kitchen, that he's just like, he's got the draft.
Do you think he was just like, more? But he was at 17. Okay, so 3 biggest needs now post-draft, or questions, I should say, not needs, questions. I'm going to start with one that of a position that was definitely addressed during the course of the draft. I would contend that you cannot throw these players in day one. I'm going to start you with cornerback, not quarterback, cornerbacks.
Yep.
Because despite the fact that you definitely addressed it, including in the first round, I have a couple contentions here, Phil Mackey. One is because we're not going to have the camps in the spring, May, and June, right? So OTAs out. They're doing, I love this one, virtual OTAs.
So what is that? It's just like a bunch of people with their video muted,
Yes.
like those of us who are having office meetings.
Yes.
Like, you roll out of bed.
Are we all there?
Right, yeah, I'm here.
And they're going to do like
mute.
And they're going to do like installation on which, you know, but then you can't go out and practice those things. So OTA's out, the 3-day mini camp almost certainly out as well. I don't think that you can get into training camp. You know, let's just say it starts August 15th or something. All right. I don't think that you can get day one of training camp and be like, all right, you guys are going to play consistently on opening day. We know that Mike Zimmer's ask of his cornerbacks is pretty big. And so it's not that these guys can't fit in. It's not that they can't play in 2021. But I think if you're thinking that Gladney's going to start on day one, you're probably crazy.
Yeah.
And that's probably not the best thing. So my question is, at cornerback, my solution is, I think that there's enough veteran free agents out there, Phil, that they're going to sign at least one to be a bridge guy. Because if you had the entire offseason program and training camp, I think asking even a first round pick to start on opening day at corner in this league right now is tough. I think it would be, my fear is this. I think there's certain positions at which you can ruin guys quickly, and certain positions where, you know, if they struggle, and it's fine. If you put a guy like Gladney out there from day one at corner and it's awful, I think you can seriously stunt his growth permanently. And that trade-off in what could be a shortened 2020, not worth it. So my question is, and I think the answer is yes, what are you going to do to just address this with a veteran corner?
I'll add to your cornerback concern here, because I do think, I do think it's probably the biggest question mark position defensively, and that we're all looking at Mike Hughes and saying, all right, well, yeah, he's been here for, okay, we're good on Mike Hughes because we almost have to say that. But I don't even know if we don't even know if we're good on Mike Hughes yet in terms of like a long-term starting top end. Is he going to be a Pro Bowler? I mean, we have been spoiled here watching the Vikings. Xavier Rhodes became a punchline the last couple of years, but that dude was money for like 3 or 4 years. You just had a lockdown, shutdown Pro Bowl cornerback, and then everything else kind of took care of itself on the other side of the field. So I think my biggest question here as it pertains to cornerback is how much can you learn by studying scheme, playbook, and having Zoom conference calls for OTAs and minicamps? You can learn some. Like running back, I wouldn't be as concerned about a running back making a transition without OTAs, right?
Yes.
Left and right guard, like it's all in tight quarters. It's not like I think there are some positions, the positions that require more choreography or more just getting a feel for the speed of NFL wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get reps for that to, like quarterback, you need reps, even if it's practice reps. Cornerback, you need reps.
Mm-hmm.
I think wide receiver, you need reps because of just route tree and different things. So that's going to be an interesting challenge for Mike Zimmer and the defensive coaching staff. How can you give them something meaningful without giving them the ability to actually take physical reps?
I don't think you can.
And maybe you can't.
I think it's impossible. And that is one position where the league is geared to destroy you. Not just, I mean, if Jefferson plays opening week and runs 3 wrong routes, okay, that can be worked on. It's a problem. But worst case, fans have no clue. I call him to the sideline, tell him what he did wrong. Perhaps I bench him, not because I'm mad, but because he's just not prepared to play. But that's not a huge story. At cornerback, there's no like outlet to be like, you've sort of been goofing up, but that's okay. You're exposed in front of everybody.
Yes.
And the league is coming after you because the league wants Drew Brees and Brady and Rodgers to look great. And they're going to exploit your weakness. If they exploit it once, they'll exploit it 8 times that same game.
And if you think, even for like fans who've gone and watched training camp before, when you watch a full session of like an hour and a half practice at training camp, think about where the coaches are the most hands-on. It's with the quarterbacks because there's just like so many things to learn. It's with the wide receivers because the intricacies about how you get off the line of scrimmage and how you break a route and the timing. And defensively, I would argue that the most hands-on coaching takes place with the cornerbacks.
I agree completely.
Because the level of like bad that can happen if you aren't precise at cornerback is touchdown for the other team. And this is like all due respect to like a defensive tackle or like an like a left guard. If you screw up as a left guard, you know what? Like the play might be going over this way, and so like it might not bite you on that.
And we, for the
play,
most
right?
part, don't know.
And like if you screw up as a left guard, sometimes the center has your back, or sometimes the left tackle has your back. If you're a defensive tackle and you screw up, well, unless you screw up in a way that like there's no linebackers or safeties or cornerbacks to make a tackle behind you on a draw play or something, like somebody else saves your ass. If you screw up as a cornerback, it's a touchdown.
Plus, if you look at the road schedule that the Vikings are going to play, do you want a rookie corner from day one?
Yeah, it's
going against those quarterbacks. They're going to kill you.
It is it's an aggressive schedule. I mean, we on a recent episode, cheap plug of the Mackey and Judd podcast, went through and counted really like there's only maybe 2 or 3 weak spot quarterback games that you play, and like 2 of them are Mitch Trubisky. So, maybe Gardner Minshew. So I don't think it's like sound the alarms panic because you do have 2 of the best safeties in the NFL, and I do think Mike Hughes is going to be fine. But you're right, cornerback is.
Can the safety save you though?
They might be able to save you from a touchdown, I guess, but,
once in a while.
But yeah,
so
they're not going to be there running with you along with a wide receiver. So
number 2 on the questions that pertain to the Vikings following the draft, and they did take one of these very late in Spielman's 75 picks, the guard position, and I'm not saying just right guard. Now, Josh Klein was cut. I've seen that there's been speculation that they could bring him back on a reduced salary, and if they do, okay, I guess. But I'm talking about both because Pat Elflein was borderline at times as far as pass protection, not run blocking, but pass protection in 2019, Phil Mackey, unplayable. What are you going to do at the guards? And this is, if this was 2004, I literally would say, yeah, it's a problem, but it's a bunch of fat interior guys inside. Just block them, right?
Yeah.
But this league has now become guys who used to play defensive end are gaining weight on purpose to play defensive tackles. And these guys, not across the entire league, but certainly the Packers, teams like that, the Bears, have guys that can rush interior pressure. And Kirk Cousins' biggest problems don't come from outside pass rushers.
It's inside.
It's inside.
Yeah.
So this guard situation and asking who the guards are going to be is not just find a couple of fat guys to match the fat guys. This is a potential, I will sound the alarm. This is a potential Vikings crisis if you don't address this correctly and you just signed Cousins to an extension. And keep in mind, knock on wood, this is the one thing to keep in mind too. We always say, and it's to Kirk's credit, Kirk's really durable because Kirk plays a lot. But if the more pressure that you allow and the more he gets hit, you can't just across the board be like, well, he'll just get up. So this now to me also becomes a discussion of if he goes down, and I know that, Kirk, we can criticize him all that we want. But boys, if you're starting Sean Mannion, hang her up.
Yeah,
It's over.
I think I mean you could probably say the same thing backup quarterback wise about 27 teams where
Not the Dallas Cowboys.
and maybe not the I was going to say maybe not the Chicago Bears.
And that might be
I
right,
think
but
Nick
I'm just
Foles
saying
is
this
mediocre.
assumption that Kirk is always going to be fine
Right.
is probably a little bit of a stretch on our part.
So what are the solutions right now that they're proposing? Rick Spielman has said that Ezra Cleveland could wind up playing some left guard.
Yep.
So I think it's sort of a toss up between Riley Reif and Ezra Cleveland. Who's playing tackle? Who's playing guard over there? What do you want to do?
Sure.
My biggest question. I know we have all written off Pat Elflein at this point. He's been just like, whenever you see someone get forklifted off the line of scrimmage and shoved backwards, you can just assume that it's Pat Elflein the last couple of years. I mean, let's just be honest.
It's true.
He's just been mostly terrible.
That's a great term.
And I think my question is, that guy was so highly touted coming out of Ohio State.
Yep.
And he's still young. He's, it's not like he's been in the league for 6 years and he is what he is, right? Has all hope been lost for Pat Elflein? Or is it just over for
Here's
Pat
my
Elflein?
fear of why the answer to the question you just asked might be yes. So he came in and started at center his rookie year, and he was pretty good. But he hurt his shoulder at some point in time, and that was bad. And then in the NFC Championship game at Philadelphia, he cracked his ankle really badly. My fear is at his size, because he's not that big a guy. My fear is his body might be shot just that quickly. And I know it sounds ridiculous to say because the comeback is what? He's 3 years in. His body can't be shot. But when you crack your ankle as badly as I think he did, and your shoulder is hurt, and your requirement is probably put on as much weight as you possibly can. And the incredible thing about a lot of these guys who play the interior offensive line to me is look at them once they retire and like how thin they get. Like they're not naturally fat people. They're strong, but they're required to gain weight. I don't know if Elflein's body, given what happened to him in his rookie season, can hold up.
Yeah.
That would be my fear if I'm the Vikings.
Because I would say that one of the solutions is you got to kind of cross your fingers and hope that Pat Elflein isn't a disaster in 2020, but that's not much of a solution. Just praying to the football gods.
But can Drew Samia play? Can Dakota Dozier, who's certainly got some chances, and I think the answer as a full-time guy is no. Could he play?
That's going to be
if Cleveland play guard.
If there is a training camp, it is the least sexy position battle of all time. But like the guard spots are what we're all going to be wondering in full team practices, right?
Including the quarterback.
Yeah, he's going to be trying to run to the edges as fast as he can and heave a pass out of bounds. What's your third biggest question coming out of the draft for the Vikings?
Defensive tackle. Three technique in particular. So they signed Pierce from Baltimore, and he's going to be the big guy that clogs things up, and that's
so James
fine.
Lynch is a really this rookie out of Baylor.
Yep.
He's a 4th round pick. He's interesting. He's highly touted.
Yep.
How quickly does he enter into the fold early in a season in which you don't get out? We're back to the off-season workouts thing too, right?
Yes.
But a lot of people are saying that James Lynch could be an interesting.
But those positions are becoming extremely important with really good players.
Yeah.
So it's it's not, well, I've got my 3 tech and he's a solid guy, and my nose tackle, he's really fat and it's great. It's now nose tackle, a 3 tech who previously might have played the defensive end position. Here's my question too: is Zim going to now liberally borrow from what he did against the Saints and like move Hunter around inside at times,
I don't know if that's the interesting question, is that
like on
how
nickel
much of that
situations?
was a surprise attack the
Mhm.
Saints weren't ready for? How much can you replicate it? If a large part of that successful game plan was surprise attack,
Right?
but I think, if you can move him around and just it almost becomes a we talk about like matchups, right? Can you get your slot receiver matched up on a linebacker
Right.
or a safety or something, right? In the NBA, can you get a tall wing matched up in the post against? Can you get a 5-inch height advantage, right? I mean, if you see from game to game matchups where, listen, if you can get Daniel Hunter like 20 snaps against that left guard, it's on, and it's 3
And
sacks,
like
right?
nickel.
Yep.
So here's my thing, and this is why I don't think that you can or should have to rely on your safeties to consistently support your cornerbacks if you're the Vikings in 2020. The most effective, in my opinion, that this defense can be is Hunter moves inside at times, end at times. I would be tempted to play him at left and right be- because if you don't know where he's going to be, you can study for him all week.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
My second thing, and until the day I see this consistently now, I won't believe it's going to happen. And it goes back to a Mackey and Judd conversation from probably 5 years now. Anthony Barr.
Yeah.
Is he going to be on the line at times? Because again, if you do that, if he's a linebacker at times and then at times he's going to rush, it becomes a problem. But my last thing is this one: Harrison Smith. If I have to have Harrison Smith play a deep safety, I'm compromising his ability to make himself great.
Yeah.
But if I can have him at times coming to the line of scrimmage and rushing, if I can have him coming up and back and up and back, and so now I have no idea where he's going to be, it helps me a ton. But this is why I think the most important question becomes: how much can you count on your 2 corners or 3 at times in the nickel defensive package to hold up? Because if I can't count on them, I got to get them help. But if I can count on them in coverage, now I've got potentially Hunter switching around, Barr for sure, and most importantly, Harrison Smith. Because if you watch Smith, he consistently, on his best days, you have no idea when the ball is snapped where he's going to wind up. And if I've got to basically say Anthony Harris and Harrison Smith have to play back,
Yes.
they're still good, but now they're not nearly as big a threat.
So those are all great points, and for all those reasons, training camp, if there is a training camp in some form, is going to be fun
Virtual.
to watch. Listen, if we get to watch
Would you watch virtual?
a Zoom 7-on-7
Would you guys?
session, I am
Would you
all in.
guys right now?